Thank you everyone for joining this session on Saturday. Again, this is your weekend where you have a lot of plan, but still you make it, which is really appreciated, and thank you. What we can see here is we have total 5 attendees. So I think Snigdha, the chat window, and they are able to unmute themselves and they can speak, right? That facility is enabled.
No, the facility is like they have to write their inquiries in the chat.
Okay.
But by default, the attendees will stay on mute.
Okay, great. So again, everyone, if you have any question, please feel free to put it into the chat box, and let me just go ahead and start it. So first of all, hello everyone. Today's topic is basically related to the value of Red Hat certification and how exactly it is fit into the DevOps world. So we are going to talk about a lot of things related to the DevOps, and then we will talk about the certain certification which can help you to boost your journey, specifically in the market where IT industries has a totally requirements based on the DevOps and all, right? So we are going to talk about that. So my name is Vatsal Thakor, and I'm working with the Prodivance as an associate director, and I'm basically taking care of the two different vertical. One of them is kind of a delivery and consulting of the number of different products like OpenShift and Ansible and other solutions that we are providing. Apart from that, I'm taking care of the trainings and certifications. So it basically combination of the retail training as well as the corporate trainings. Next slide, please. Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I'm a Red Hat certified architect level 11. And apart from that, I have a lot of other certification in leadership, which is specifically, I'm certified Agile Leadership Essentials, and I'm a certified Scrum Master. And in terms of technology, majorly I'm more focused towards the OpenShift, containers, Kubernetes, and automation world. Then I have certain other certification apart from Red Hat, which is AWS and Terraform. I'm also Terraform certified. So these are the basic, these are the kind of a certification I have. Next slide, please. Basically what exactly the DevOps is. So a lot of people are saying that DevOps is some kind of a technology, but that is a completely wrong, I could say, because DevOps is nothing but a kind of a culture which we need to implement in our organization so that we can be able to, kind of achieve increased business value in our model. And also we will be able to change very rapidly inside our applications or in some sort of a specific applications or whatever it is. So we can basically implement this culture so that we will be able to get the very fast result, and we will be able to serve the high quality products to the particular client. So that is the main goal of this DevOps. So this is all possible through the fast paced, specifically IT service delivery. And also we can able to see that DevOps meaning is actually kind of a linking the legacy applications with cloud native applications. That's how the exactly the meaning of the DevOps is, right? So if you can see in this particular image, you must have seen, if you're working in some sort of an environment, then always development team and operation teams are keep on fighting, right? So development teams are saying that, okay, this is not my issue. And operations teams are always saying that, okay, there is something wrong inside the code. So that's how we must have seen there are a lot of fightings are going on. So DevOps is a kind of a culture or practice which will help you to remove that specific glitch between or kind of a wall of a confusion between the development and the operation. So that's how the actual DevOps terminology works. Next slide, please. Now, what are the number of different benefits we have available if we can go ahead with the DevOps cultural practice? What are the number of kind of a implementation or a kind of a benefit we will be able to see? And first of all, what we were able to achieve using this DevOps terminology is something called speed. Because in DevOps world, what is happening, we are kind of merging a lot of number of different tools and terminologies and technologies so that we should be able to build our application very rapidly. And as soon as we are building the particular code, that code goes to the another environment, and we should be able to build that particular application, and we should be able to deploy that, right? And everything is automated in this particular culture. So the benefit is as soon as the application is ready, it will be automatically built, it will be automatically deployed, and then it goes to the next step, where what we can able to do is we will be able to check the application quality and the reliability. So as the application is running, we will be able to identify what are the number of different issues we have with that particular application. And what we can do is, again, we can make the changes very rapidly into the code according to the analysis which we have done. Then as we already discussed, the moment you will make a change, again, the entire life cycle or entire pipeline is going to be initiated again. And that's where the new application will be built with the number of different changes which we have made inside the code. That's how we will be able to manage our deployment of application, which is very, very rapid with this particular culture. Next slide, please. Right. So another benefits are improved collaboration, we can say, because DevOps is a specifically terminology where we are not talking about a one single person. There are a lot of people who can be able to collaborate into this particular approach with an, I could say, hand-in-hand approach, where everybody is specifically focusing on one of the our code, or everybody can able to collaborate with their views on the specific repository. So what we will be able to do is we will be able to improvise our code in a much more better way. That is another benefit which we are getting. So obviously, basically, if you can, if you're coming from a technical background, what I'm talking about the kind of a Git repository where we have our centralized source code available. That kind of approach I am talking about. I just turn off for my video because the second network is not so reliable. So, okay. The next benefit is security. As we discussed, my application is built, my application is deployed. Now, maybe some of the user has quickly identified some of the breaches into that particular application, and they have reported that, okay, in this application XYZ is the number of different bugs are there. So what we can do is we can quickly go ahead, make a change into the code, and we can rebuild the application. In other hand, if we go with the proper DevOps approach, it's all automated. Again, what we can do is we will be able to write some sort of a code which will specifically maintain our security, or which will actually test your application in terms of security, whether that application is passing all the tests. And then if it is passing, let's go ahead and deploy this application to the production. That kind of approach also we should be able to create by using this DevOps world or DevOps culture. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, when we are talking about this DevOps practices, there are a number of different practices generally we are following, right? So first of all, if we talk about the continuous integration is another approach where what we are doing is we are keep on changing the code, right? So I have one application with a version 1, which is already running in my environment. But now I get to know that there are a number of different changes required in order to make that application more faster, more reliable, and more flexible. Quickly go ahead and make a changes to the code. And as I said, it's all automated. What is happening? The moment you will make a changes into the code, that code will be integrated with your building system, or maybe with your pipeline or something. And then it will go ahead and help you to basically deploy that application with the newer changes. So generally continuous integration, if I'll divide into multiple segregated world, then I can say that it is specifically segregated in 3 terms. First one is the code review. Second one is a pipeline as a code. And third thing is continuous testing. So generally what we will do is we will review our code. We will make a change according to that. Then we will move to the next step, which is pipeline as a code, where we have a pipelines available, which will help us to, build the application or test that particular code. And we are keep on integrating the code. That's how exactly the continuous integration works. Next step is a continuous delivery, where what we are doing is we are using automation in order to create application releases. So whatever we have integrated with the continuous integration, that is going to be the kind of a output for the continuous delivery, because that code which we have changed, that will be pulled in by the continuous delivery. It will make the specific release, and it will help you to deploy that application. Now, The third point which you can see in this particular slide is microservices. So what exactly the microservices? Earlier, how we used to build the application with a monolithic form of architecture, right? Now we move to the microservice architecture. So if I'll give you a little bit of description of monolithic and microservices, I think I have a best example, which is your Uber application. Just assume that how many number of different components we have with the Uber application, right? So that particular application has a monitoring system, user interface, driver interface. It has a payment system. It has a specifically location tracking information, right? And with COVID, there are also a lot of other functionalities are added to that particular application. So these, each one of the functions are tightly coupled and specifically built. This application is built as a single application and all the components are working together. Now, the question is, if that application needs to be scaled up, or maybe just assume that this application is running on top of my AWS environment. Now, when I'm scaling that application as and when required, what will happen? You can't just go ahead and scale up that application one single function. Like maybe I wanted to scale up my view, right? That I cannot do. Why? Because it's a time coupled. In that case, we are stuck. And that's where the microservices are coming into the picture, where what we have done is we have chopped up our application in a number of different pieces, where my driver view is completely separate, my user view is completely segregated. Then I have a payment system, which is segregatedly running or separately running, I could say. So in this particular terminology, it is very easy for us to scale up the application, and we will be able to save a lot of cost. Why? Because we are only scaling the application which is required or for which particular function we required multiple copies. So that is what the microservices are. Now, infrastructure as a code, which is again a new terminology and very rapidly adopted by the industries, I could say. So what exactly the meaning of infrastructure as a code? Whatever we are doing in our infrastructure, like specifically I'm building a one cluster with 1,000 node, where I have a one OpenShift, maybe 10 OpenShift masters, and then I have other all multiple worker nodes are available. So in those kind of a situation, what will happen if something went wrong? If we talk about in terms of application, we are building the code, and the code will be get deployed on top of your environment. Now, what in the case if something went wrong with the application? That is again a painful part, right? So what generally we are doing is, whatever the infrastructure we are building, we are specifically keeping that particular infrastructure code into the one specific repository. So if something went wrong into that infrastructure, what we can do is we can just simply go ahead and make some changes into that code, and we will be able to rebuild that particular entire environment by using that particular code. So that's how it is making our life more and more easy. Then obviously when we have a cluster up and running, there are a lot of other components we required in order to keep on monitoring the health of that particular environment. And that's where our monitoring and logging in systems are coming into the picture. So the very famous component, if I will talk here for the monitoring and logging in, so we must have heard about the Grafana, we must have heard about the Prometheus, EFK stack, which is Elasticsearch, Fluentd, and Kibana kind of a tools which we are using, which will help us to monitor our infrastructure, as well as we can be able to track the logs related information inside our environment. And this is all basically has fallen under the DevOps world. Then we should have some sort of a tool where we should be able to communicate effectively, and everybody should be able to provide their views. And that's where the communication and collaborations are coming into the picture. So generally in enterprise world, what is happening, there is always a one master repository, and a lot of developers are working on a small kind of a branches. And as and when changes are required, they are committing their branches, and we should be able to merge that smaller branches into our main pipeline. That's how generally this communication and collaboration works. Next slide, please. Now, how we can adopt this DevOps culture into our industries. So if I'll give you this answer in a very short way, if we talk about the DevOps culture. So first of all, people, process, and tool. these are the three key features of this entire DevOps culture. So we should have some sort of a mechanism where people are able to collaborate. Then we should define some sort of a process, and then we are going to decide that what are the number of different tools which we required in order to build our entire infrastructure, or how we can be able to effectively create the entire infra. So if I'll give you one example, if you go back to your college days, there is a final year project, right? So if there are total 5 person working on a one specific project, how generally you will decide that you can make your project best out of best, right? So all the 5 people will come to the one table. They are going to decide that, okay, this is our end goal. And to achieve this end goal, we need to define the particular process. So what they will do is they will start writing down the number of different procedures that, okay, to achieve this particular goal, we need to follow this XYZ procedures. And to follow that particular procedures, we are going to use ABC type of a tool in order to get or achieve our goal. So that's how basically we can be able to implement the DevOps culture. Apart from that, there is one more very important point, which is our continuous learning. So people need to always think about, or they need to basically change their thinking. So thinking process, so that they can think outside of the particular box. So that is the main key point of this entire DevOps culture. And the another one is fail fast and learn from the particular failure, right? So the main goal here is why we are saying that fail fast, because the moment you will fail, or as soon as fail, you will get to know about your problems. And as you know your problem, what you can do is, instead of deploying that application to the particular production environment, what you can do is you can simply go back to your code, you can make the change, and you will redeploy that application in your testing environment. And if the application is up and running, you can go ahead and deploy that into production environment. So as long as you are not failing, you are not going to learn. So here main goal is keep on failing and fail fast, right? So the moment you will fail, you will make the change, and you will refactor your code, and you will be able to redeploy your application. Apart from that, agile. So agile is basically a kind of a methodology where it's a kind of a way of keeping the team flexible and well organized and capable of responding to that particular changes which we are making into the code. And DevOps culture, cultural shift that encourage basically collaboration between these two, build and maintain the software. And what we can do is, when we are using the both terminology together, like a build and maintain, or specifically agile and DevOps, we will be able to, or we should be able to get the efficient and reliable code into our environment. So that's how we should be able to approach our DevOps journey. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, if you can see the first statement here, DevOps is an ocean, right? Because you must have searched on Google that I want to learn DevOps, then where should I start? And it is very difficult to find the entire approach or what you should learn, because DevOps is a kind of a journey where we have a more than 200, 300 plus different tools are available, right? Some of the tools are basically used for code management. Few of the core tools are used for the building your application. Some of the tools are used to specifically test your application. And also you should have some sort of a way to deploy that application, how you are going to manage that application, how you are going to monitor that application. And when we are automating this entire part, we should have someone who can be able to help us in order to make this entire process very smooth, right? So there are a lot of tools are available, and it is very hard to difficult. And that's where we are going to talk about a few of the Red Hat trainings and certifications, which can help us to make our journey more easier. Next slide, please. Okay, so how you can prepare for your journey. So first of all, you should train yourself on a number of different technologies or terminologies, I could say, but you need to plan the entire your journey, because as I mentioned, there are thousands of tools are available, and it is very difficult to identify from where I should start, or what should be the appropriate certification that can help me to boost my career. And this is a very difficult question, I could say, because when I have started my initial journey, I was completely blank that how should I go ahead and learn the DevOps, because when I used Google, I can see that some of the people are talking about the Git, some of the people are talking about some number of different tools. So what is the right place where you can find all of this information together and which will make your life more easy in terms of making this journey more smoother? Next slide, please. So Linux is a heart of any technology. You can go ahead and pick up any technology which is in a demand right now, whether it is embedded world or whether it is automation or DevOps or security or development or any programming language or anything. They all are somewhere backed by Linux itself, even your Android phones, right? So if you don't know the Linux, then I could not say that you cannot learn, but Linux is something which is always and always coming into the picture, whether you will go with the any technology, whether it is DevOps or automation. So Linux is a very basic which you should know in your career before starting your journey with the DevOps and all. Because I do a lot of interviews for our organization, right? And the common problem which I have faced, that everybody is saying that, okay, I'm a DevOps certified engineer, right? But when I'll start interviewing them, I'll start with the very basic, because DevOps is what? DevOps is a combination of your Git and Jenkins and Kubernetes and Docker and Podman, and there are a lot of tools are there which you are learning in order to create the specific pipeline, and then you will say that, okay, I'm a DevOps certified. But where you are running all those applications, whether it is Jenkins, whether it is Kubernetes, where you are running it, you are running it on top of the Linux itself, right? Now, what in the case if something went wrong to that particular application, how you're going to troubleshoot if you know the Linux, if you don't know the Linux, right? So if you just wanted to become a only administrator, then the story is different. But if you want to, if you have a higher goal and if you want to become a kind of an architect and all, then you should know the Linux, and that is the minimum requirement right now. And I'm sad to say that, but it is very hard to find the kind of a such talent who knows the Linux as well as the DevOps or automation or whatever it is, right? Next slide, please. Now, how you can prepare yourself for the DevOps world. So first of all, if you want to, as I said, you need to learn the Linux, and to learn the Linux, Red Hat is offering specifically two different separate courses. First one is a Red Hat System Administration 1, and another one is Red Hat System Administration 2. So RH124 and RH134 is the kind of a course code for that particular course. So what exactly they are teaching in this particular training. So you will get to know how exactly the Linux work, how you can able to work with Linux, how you can able to install the number of different server, how to install the packages, how you can manage the configuration, what are the standard structure of the Linux file directory, how exactly the permissions work, how you can check your logs. All those things you are going to learn in 124 and 134. And that's how you are preparing your base for the next level of certification. So these are the minimum requirement. And once you have completed your 124 and 134, what you are going to do is you are going to appear for one exam, which will give you the tag Red Hat Certified System Administrator. And the exam code is EX200, right? Next slide, please. Now, your base is clear, you know Linux, how exactly the things are working in Linux, and obviously you are going to get a kind of a hands-on approach, which we will talk about in a very soon in a 2-3 slide, right? So once you are ready for the Linux, how you can start your DevOps journey. So there is some sort of a starting point you should be aware of. So Red Hat is offering a DO 188, which is Red Hat OpenShift Development 1, an introduction to the container with the Podman. So you must have heard about the Docker, right? So Docker is again a kind of a tool which will help you to create the container in your environment. And similar to that, Podman is again coming from the open source world, which is more flexible, I could say, more secure, and the system resource utilization is very low compared to the other tools which is available in the market. So Podman is something which you should learn, and you should know how exactly you can manage the container, because whether it is Kubernetes or OpenShift administration or whatever it is, what you are doing is eventually you are deploying your application, and those applications are going to run as a container. So again, I'm addressing the same question. If something went wrong, what you need to do is you need to come back to the bottom layer of the entire stack, where you are going to play with the podman kind of a command, like where you are going to see that which containers are up and running, what is not running, how to check the log, how you can go ahead and work with the container, how to create the Docker file, how you can able to build your application. All these things you should know, and that is all covered inside the DO 188. Then once you are ready with the DO 188, you are going to get yourself certified on that, and then you can plan your next journey. So you know the bottom layer, which is Linux. On top of that, we have this podman layer, and on top of that, what you are going to do is you are going to plan your journey with the OpenShift, which is the highest upper layer, right? So DO 280 is the specific course which is talking about how exactly the OpenShift looks like, what are the number of different components are there, how OpenShift work, how you can deploy your applications, how you should be able to integrate your application with the number of different other tools, how you can scale up your OpenShift cluster, how you can upgrade your OpenShift cluster, how you can maintain the security of that OpenShift cluster. Those all informations will be covered in the DO 280 itself, right? So, and again, in this particular course, you are going to learn a two different approach. One is how you can manage your entire cluster using the OC client, and there are a lot of people who are saying that it will be much better if I can able to manage my entire cluster using the UI, right? I don't want to get into the command line stuff. So that's where you are also learning how you can manage your entire OpenShift cluster using the graphical console, and number of different options related to the secret and volumes and persistent volume and persistent volume claim, and what exactly the storage class, and everything is covered inside the DO 280. So as an administrator, whatever you need to learn or whatever you should know, that everything is covered in the DO 280. Now, second thing, we can see DO 288. There are a lot of people who is completely confused with this particular tagline of this name, Red Hat OpenShift Developer 2. So the first question is, the moment I'll see the developer, I might be thinking that, okay, I'll reduce the speed. Thanks for bringing it up. So DO 280, and when we will see the developer word, the first question comes in my mind is that developer, it means I'm sure I'm going to do some sort of a programming, and I hate programming, right? I don't like programming. So do you really think that I should go for this course? So here, let me make one comment. When I'm saying DO 288 Red Hat OpenShift Developer 2 is not a development or developer course. This is something where what we are learning is how we can be able to tweak our OpenShift environment, or how we can be able to make some changes into the OpenShift configuration, so that OpenShift can start behaving according to our requirement. Like, let me take one example. In OpenShift environment, we have one tool available, which is S2I, which is making OpenShift unique compared to the other products in the market. So S2I's job is to pull the source code from the Git repository. It will automatically build the application for you, and then it will help you to deploy the application. So as an administrator, you know the entire story, right? But you have a kind of a complex application, and you wanted to build that application with your own changes, or you want to make some changes into that particular building process. So how you are going to do that? And that's where you should know how exactly what are the components are there as a part of the S2I terminology, how you can be able to make a changes into the code, how you should be able to tweak that S2I part so that application can use the specific builder image, or you should be able to tweak that how exactly the security is going to be pushed into that particular as a part of that entire application building process itself. So those level of changes you will be able to see as a part of the OpenShift Developer 2, which is our DO 288. So this is just one example. Apart from that, you are going to talk about how exactly you can create the secret, how exactly you can use the service account, you can merge it with your application. Those all changes you are going to see in the DO 288. So again, I'm repeating, DO 288 is not a development course. It is a course which will basically help you to tweak your existing configurations and existing process which is happening in your OpenShift environment, so that you can be able to tweak by using the tricks which is taught in this, specifically DO 288. Now, moving to the next course, which is DO 380, Red Hat OpenShift Administration 3. So this is a very high-end course where what you are going to do is you are going to talk about a kind of a high level architecture of the OpenShift environment, like how you can scale up your OpenShift environment, what are the best practices which you can follow in terms of making your automation, how you should be able to run your DevOps world, how you can be able to configure your Git repository to work with OpenShift environment, what kind of a configuration you should do, how to deploy the Jenkins environment, and how Jenkins should be integrated with the OpenShift, how you can create the pipeline. So whatever the DevOps terminology or major requirements are there, those things will be covered in the DO 380. Also, you are going to see how you can scale up your OpenShift world. Maybe something went wrong inside one of the node and you want to troubleshoot that, how you can troubleshoot it, how you can add one more node into the OpenShift environment. All those higher end discussions we are going to do in the DO 380. So DO 380 is a very advanced course. I must say that you cannot learn anything in the DO 380 until and unless you know the DO 280 very well, right? So there is no dependency of DO 288. DO 288 is something where you can implement your or you can improve your core OpenShift skill, but it is not required all the time. You can simply go ahead with the DO 180, then you can complete your DO 280, and then you can do the DO 380 directly. So DO 288 is not required all the time, right? It's depending upon your organization's need and your job roles need. According to that, you can plan your certification. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, in this entire DevOps world, there is one more thing which we should know, that is our automation. We should not forget that, because without automation, nothing is so easy. Again, automation itself is not easy sometimes when we are stuck in a kind of a heterogeneous environment, then it is very difficult, right? So what exactly the automation is? I told a lot of time when I was talking about the DevOps that automation is this, we are automating this, we are automating the code building process and all. So what exactly it is? So in OpenShift world, we are merging a lot of tools and technologies, right? So how we are going to automate that? To automate that, we have a lot of tools are available, like Ansible, we have other tools are available like Jenkins and all, but you should know how you should be able to automate the entire environment, right? How you can automate your entire procedures. So that's where this Ansible is coming into the picture. So Ansible, Terraform, these are the kind of a core, parts of the entire DevOps journey. So first of all, if you want to learn the automation, what you can do is you can go ahead with the RH294, which is the very basic course of the Red Hat, which is talking about the Ansible, like how you can work with the Ansible, how exactly the Ansible looks like, and how you can install the number of different server, what are the number of different configurations you should be able to do, what is plugin, what exactly the number of different parameters you can use to write your playbook. So if you are very new to the Ansible, you don't know anything about Ansible or YAML, then this is the right course for you, where you are going to learn all the basics which you need or which you should know as an automation engineer. Now, moving to the next step is DO 374. So developing advanced automation with Red Hat Ansible. So this is also a really amazing course, which is a kind of a advanced level course, I should say, where we are going to talk about the specifically recommended practice for effective and efficient automation, which we can be able to do with the Ansible. Also, this course is specifically focusing on a navigator and number of different other options which we will be able to use inside Ansible, like how exactly we can work with the data, how to work with the filters, and how you can work with the plugins, right? In order to basically run your automation. So there is a question: RH294 includes your... No, if I will answer that question, RH 294 is a separate course, 374 is separate course, and 447 is a separate course, right? But it's all about how you can organize your flow. Generally, what people are doing, why I have identified and why I have created the structure, because people might be go ahead and see the advertisement and okay, there is a advanced level course of Ansible DO447 and let me go ahead and learn the Ansible. So that's it. It doesn't work that way, right? You cannot directly just go ahead and enroll into the advanced level course and you can expect that you will learn the automation. First, you need to start with the baby step, which is RH 294. Then you can move to the DO374 or 447. So minimum requirement is 294, which is the basics of Ansible. And then later on, you can choose any of the track according to your requirement. Because as I mentioned, 374 is the course which is focusing more on the filters and plugins and number of different other environments, or how exactly the navigator works and all. But when we talk about the DO447, 447 is something which help you to understand how exactly you can control the REST API, how you can be able to work with the Ansible tower, how you can able to manage the complex things using the Ansible tower and its own graphical console, how you can be able to implement the CI/CD pipeline for your automation with the Git or maybe Ansible tower, or there are other tools like a ServiceNow, and if you want to integrate, how you can be able to do that. So those things are specifically covered in the 447. So you can identify, once you are ready with RH 294, you can choose what is your organization's need. Are you going to build an effective pipelines, or are you going to build effective playbooks? If your goal is to understand how to write the amazing, awesome playbooks, then you can go ahead with the DO374. Or if your role is to basically a kind of an integrator where you are integrating a lot of applications and you are helping organization to make their life easy in terms of making a proper pipelining and all, then you can go for the DO447. So that's how exactly the flow is defined. Next slide, please. No, there is no dependency that DO374 is required for DO447. You can directly go ahead with the 447 or 374. Now, why I'm trying to promote a Red Hat certification? The main reason is, if we look at the industries right now, there are a lot of certifications, right? I don't want to name any specific organization, but all the certifications we have in a market, it has a kind of some sort of a breach, and we can be able to, or the people can able to tweak the examinations, right? And specifically when we talk about the Red Hat is very possessive about their exam security. So what we can see that from the ages, all the exams which is came out of the Red Hat, those all exams are completely hands-on. They are maintaining the security. So what with Red Hat training, whatever you are learning, that is all hands-on approach. So first of all, if I'll give you the one example. If I have enrolled into the DO 188. So I'm not only going to learn the theory, I'm going to learn the theory, and then later on we have a kind of a guided exercise. Then we have a lab available. So we are going to make our hands dirty, and you have to do it, because if you're planning for the exam, then you don't have choice. There is no way to tweak the exam. So what you can do is, unless you don't complete the guided exercise and you don't make your hands dirty, you won't be able to clear the certificate. So, and another benefit is, instead of self-learning, these labs are designed in a kind of a scenario based. It means that if I'll talk about one example, if I want to deploy the multi-container application, how I can be able to do that. So it will take a lot of time if I wanted to produce that scenario. But those kind of a scenario, you will be able to see directly as a part of the Red Hat DO188 learning itself. So that is making your life more easy, and you are getting a kind of a enterprise exposure within the training itself. Then what you are going to do, you are planning for your exam. So in exam also, what we are doing is, or what Red Hat is doing is, Red Hat is specifically designed their exam in such a way where what they are expecting, that you should be able to build the application, you should be able to create the Docker file, you should be able to run the application with the specific requirement. So it's not a MCQ type of exam where you can just simply mug up the questions and you can select the ABC and then submit. No, here what you need to do is, you need to do everything practically. And that's how it makes maintain the quality of Red Hat exam, as well as it is make this exam unique, right? So Red Hat exams are very unique, and you will have always a kind of a new experience when you appear the Red Hat exam. Now, apart from that, global program. So global program as a Red Hat, it is acknowledged everywhere. Even if you go for the interview, even if you go for other any specific upgradation or anything, this will be valued separately. Even I do the same thing. When I post any job, or my organization post any job related requirements, first what I will do is I will go to that particular portal and I will search for the people who is certified, because if they are certified, and specifically Red Hat certified, that make my life more easy in terms of interviewing them. Why? Because as they are certified, they don't have choice. They should have to do the practical. They should have to prove themselves in their exam. Then only they get certified, right? So that's how this global program or this Red Hat certifications will be a value addition to your resumes. Then convenient way to test. So thanks to the COVID, I could say Red Hat has enabled a lot of examinations way, right? So there are classroom exams. We have options to appear the exam from our home itself. We have options to appear the exam from the partner centers where they have koala machines available. So you can visit the centers and you can register your exam and you can appear on the partners locations. Those are the number of different options which we have available, right? Next slide, please. Okay, so questions. So you can see my dog is very confused. So basically he is asking for some sort of a question. So let me look into the chat box. I'll start it from the beginning. What are the levels in Red Hat? So Sayed, levels in Red Hat, you mean to say, are you questioning the tag which I have specified, Red Hat Certified Architect 11? That's so you are asking that how many levels in that particular form? Yes, no? Okay, no answer means I'll take that as an yes. So there is no specific level in Red Hat. It's depending upon how many certification you are you have achieved, right? So I'm a Red Hat Certified Architect level 11. It means I have a RHCSA and RHCE, which is basically the core certification which you always required. Then on top of that, when you do the 5 certification, you become a Red Hat Certified Architect, right? Now, once you become the Red Hat Certified Architect, it means I have total 7 certificates now. So this is how I have a 11 certificate, right? So sorry, that's how I become the Red Hat Certified Architect level 11. So you can, it's around about 15 plus certifications. I'm into Q&A testing. I understand that the base that you are saying, what is the course certifications to start with? Okay, no certification. And overall 15 plus years experience, functionally managing all the deliverable, however want to upscale. Okay, so you are into the QA testing, then I can suggest that you can start with the automation part, where you can be able to improve your testing skills with automated way. So that can help you to make your life easy. Plus that will be the value addition to your current role. And as you have a great experience, you I think it will be not a big deal for you to learn the Ansible. So once you learn the Ansible, I'm sure this is going to be the value addition to your current role. But I suggest Ansible is something which you can focus on. Now, if I'll go up, 294 includes 374 and okay, that is cleared. Sure, I'll do that. I hope you don't mind if I'll take your 5 more minutes. Okay. So as the question was related to what exactly the Podman is, what Kubernetes and what OpenShift is, what we need to understand that how exactly the entire stack is defined. So first of all, let me cover each one of the tool one by one, and I'll give you the 2 minutes of introduction. So first of all, what we are doing is we are deploying any of the platform, whether it is OpenStack or OpenShift or Kubernetes or whatever it is. what we required is we should have to have the kind of a host operating system, right? So it may be the Linux, it may be the Core OS, right? Now, on top of the operating system, what is our end goal? Our end goal is to deploy the application, right? Now, when we are deploying the application, what we required is we should have to have some sort of a tool that can help us to create the containers, right? And that's where the Podman is coming into the picture. So Podman is exactly same as Docker, which will help you to create the container, right? So by using the Docker or by using the Podman, what you will be able to do is you will be able to create your containers and you will be able to manage your container. Now, let me give you one scenario. In my organization, I have maybe 2000 containers are running. Now the containers, we cannot rely on the containers directly, right? We should have some sort of a way to manage those particular container, because if we try to manage the 2000 container manually, then the life is very difficult. Why? Because we need to keep on running the container. If something went wrong with the container, we need to manually start those containers. We might require to manually restart the container. That is all pain, right? And that's where I need someone who can make my life more easy in terms of running and manage those containers. So on top of the Podman or Docker layer, we have a Kubernetes layer. So Kubernetes is what? Kubernetes is nothing but the one orchestration engine which is working with the Podman or the Runc, or there are a number of different container tools are available. So it will be get integrated with those tools, and it can help you to maintain and manage your container world. And apart from that, it will enable a lot of number of different functionalities like storage management, how exactly you are going to access those applications from the external world, right? How you are going to manage your Helm chart, how you are going to manage the operators. All those functionalities are enabled by the Kubernetes. Now, the one more question here, Kubernetes is a open source, coming from the open source world. Now, obviously, as it is coming from the open source world, there is a chance that it might have some sort of a bugs, or it might have some sort of a issues in the particular code. Or maybe I generally, as a big organization or specifically a kind of a banking customer, I don't want to rely on the open source world. I know that open source is the kind of a world of innovation, but still I should have something which is reliable and trustworthy. And that's where the Red Hat OpenShift is coming into the picture. So Red Hat OpenShift is nothing but the one additional layer on top of the Kubernetes, where what Red Hat is doing, Red Hat is taking the Kubernetes code and they are making that particular code enterprise ready. And on top of that, they are enabling number of different functionalities, like you can be able to manage your entire cluster using the graphical console. You will be able to manage your applications. Also, along with that, it will enable yourself to run the virtual machine itself on the Kubernetes environment, and you can monitor you can deploy the number of different application, internal registry, external registry, key repository as a kind of a registry solution. So there are a lot of bunch of options will be enabled by the OpenShift world. So again, to re-explain the entire stack, your operating system. On top of the operating system, you have a Podman layer or the Docker layer, which is helping you to create the container. On top of that, we have a Kubernetes, which can help you to manage all the containers which is created by the Podman or the Docker. And on top of that, we have a OpenShift, which will give us a trust, or basically OpenShift is an enterprise ready solution, which is again nothing but the orchestration engine, and it is using a Kubernetes into the background, but all the code or backgrounds are coming from the enterprise world. So we can trust on that, and also it is enabling a lot of other number of different functionalities. So that is the main point, right? So if I'll go to again the questions section, Syed, I hope that answers your question. Great. Okay, what is the immediate course after RHCSA and RHC? First of all, I'm not here to sell anything, so let me give the honest answer. Once you are RHCSA and RHC certified, I should suggest that make your hands dirty for 6 months, go to the production, work on something. And once you get the confidence that you are ready to take a next challenge, or if you are good with whatever you have learned in RHCS and RHCS and you got the appropriate experience, then you can plan for maybe the DO 188 or something. If you want to go into the container world, if you want to go with the automation world, then you can. 294 is already done. 294 itself is a RHCE. Then you can plan for 447 or 34. Is that clear?
Vatsal, we lost your voice in between for a few seconds.
Okay. So what I'm saying is, once you have completed your RHCSA and RHCE, don't do don't go very fast. Get a job if you are not working right now. After RHCS and RHCE, you should go ahead and make your hands dirty for approximately 6 months minimum, where you are going to utilize the skill which you have learned, so that it can help you to make you much stronger in those technology. Once you are done with that, you can plan your next certification, which may be the DO 188, or maybe you can go with the DO 447 or 374 kind of a thing, right? That's what I suggest.
Yes, it is clear now.
Yes. 6 months is just for practice RHCS and RHCE only. No, this course is basically, if I will give you a kind of a rough idea, if you will do the full day courses, then this will take 2 weeks, and then later on start working on a kind of an environment where you will be able to utilize whatever you have learned in the RHCS and RHCE. So you should know how to build a web server. You should know how to create the storage server. You should also know that how you can automate the basics of Linux, how you can go ahead and create the cron jobs using the Ansible Ansible playbooks and all, how you can start and stop the service, create the enable the services. So all those things you can practice. So again, whatever you learn, make yourself comfortable with the technology, and then you can go for the next one, instead of keep on just going for the certification. Otherwise, what will happen when you come to me in an interview, I'll start asking the question and you are saying that this is what I have learned, right? And you will be able to only speak of what is there in the book. So until and unless you don't get the experience, it will not make your skill sharp. That's what my point is. Okay. Is there any other question? Welcome. Which one? The older one or OpenShift one? Anyway, I'll ask Nigda to share this slide with you. Okay. So if there is no question, I think we are good. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this session, and hope to see you again next week with some sort of a new topic. So if I'll tell you how to connect with me, let me share my LinkedIn ID. Here you go. Okay, I think that's all from my side. Snigdha, over to you.
Thank you so much, Vatsal. So the attendees will be receiving the feedback form. So we welcome their feedback. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Enjoy your weekend. Have a good day.
Thank you.